Hello. So sorry. Always something. It never can just be. Boy, do I need stress management today. Hi, everyone. Who is here still? Sorry about that. All right. So, for some reason, I got locked out of my YouTube, and Scott is not here, who usually helps me, my husband. And I couldn't find the email, and it wasn't working when I did find it. So, anyway, I'm like, oh boy, do I need stress management today. So sorry, guys. Let me see. Lynn and Dave, hopefully you're still here. George, hi, how are you? Cindy and George, hopefully you're still here. And Nancy. And I know people are here because I see that. Did you hear about the online origami store? It folded. Great, George. Stevie, good morning. Cindy. Yes. Okay. Michael. Cindy, yeah, I know, it's crazy. All right. Well, whoever is still here, really sorry about that. Probably the latest I think I've ever started, to be honest with you, since I started teaching virtually. Got to put my clock on. Yeah. So anyway, couldn't figure out my computer. Whatever happens, right? All right. Perfect. Okay. Let's begin. I hope that you're all well. For those of you that are still here, it's wonderful that we are here taking this time out to take care of ourselves, because that's really what this is about. This is about showing up to move our body, to calm our mind, and to practice being in this moment and taking care of so many aspects of ourselves. That is what yoga does, is it takes care of our entire aspect, our mind, our body, and every part of us. So for today's practice, we are going to do a little bit more movement, very gentle and slow movement, so that we move slowly in our joints, especially if you live in an aging package. So if your package, your skin suit that you're in is, let's say, out of the 40s, then it's more important to actually slow down the practice, to move with intention and awareness, and to notice what you notice along the way. And so for those of us that are out of our 40s, there may be dysfunctional patterns that are in our tissues, and that's why it's important to slow down so that we can notice what's happening and sidestep or move, or not keep sidestepping, I should say. So not keep in that pattern, but rather to repattern or even realize what's happening so that we can repattern. And that it can be a stressor in the body. So when we talk about stress management, it's not just, oh my gosh, my mind, or this is bothering me, or I'm so worried. It's not just that stress. I want to talk about musculoskeletal stress, because musculoskeletal stress in the body actually either takes up your energy, it uses cellular energy. So when muscles are contracted during the stress response and the chronic stress response, or even stress from malalignment or posture, which a lot of us have. So when that happens, the muscular part of that, it's utilizing energy in the body, so that can contribute to fatigue. And I'd like to speak about the joint alignment part of this, because when the joints are malaligned, there's a stress inside in your physiology and biochemistry, and the need for minerals to move from the bones to the area that you are malaligned in. So it's really important that when we think about stress management, it is in our muscles, in our bones, in our physical tissue, and then deeper in the parts of us that we can't see, the cells and the biochemistry, physiology. And then the part of us we really can't see, not even with a microscope, is the mental emotional layer. That's your thoughts and all of that part of us. Okay, so let's bring all of that awareness today to the stress management practice, is that we're going to target all the areas that potentially could be stressors in our body and in our mind. Perfect. So I hope that sounds good. All right. So for today's practice, I'd like you to have a blanket and a strap. I'd also like you to have a bolster or pillows. So this is a traditional yoga bolster. Most of you probably don't have this, but you do have pillows. And it would be nice to have maybe more firm pillows. So maybe pillows from a sofa. And if you have pillows from your bed, some of the more firm pillows, if you have a choice between firm and not so firm. And then I'd also like you to have access to a block. And the block could be a traditional yoga block or a rolled up towel. So go ahead and gather those things if you don't have them already. And then we'll begin our practice. The first few areas I'd like to focus on is I'd like to work on taking stress out of your spine. And, you know, people think of that word stress and everyone thinks stress is a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing. It's whenever there's a demand for something greater than either you have the ability at that moment to do, or it's just asking for more. So stress is asking for more. It's either excessive thoughts or excessive pressure. It's more. And so when we are seated or standing, we have a lot of asking of our spine to take that force from above. So we're going to come down onto the ground. We're going to begin by putting our, we're going to use this bolster today for this. So I'd like you to put a bolster or blankets or something. This is going to go underneath your knees at first, and then we're going to adjust it. And have a blanket back here for behind your head. So let's come down onto our backs. When we come onto the back, we take that pressure from above. So we're removing gravitational force from above. And then let your legs go wide. Decide where the bolster or pillows feel better for you. For some, it feels better underneath the upper thigh bones. For others, it feels better underneath the knees. And then for others, it may feel better to have the lower legs supported. So I'd like you to explore what that is for you right now. Just take a little bit of time to see which one of those is more ideal for you. And then whatever it is, closing your eyes, make sure that your head is supported by, it doesn't have to be supported. So for some of you that don't have any postural issues in the upper body, you may not need a support. If you do have a support under your head, only have it under the head and neck. So try not to have it underneath the upper back. And this can be a little bit of correction in the posture when we begin this way. And then close your eyes. Bring your awareness to this present moment, the only thing that is real. And the way that you're going to free yourself from suffering is to stay in your moments, to not live in your past and to not live in your future. So the mental, emotional stress, the more you stay present moment, the more you notice what's around you. Notice what you're smelling. So take a couple of deep inhales and notice if there are any aromas near you right now. I'd like you to set your upper back up nicely. So press your head into whatever it's on, and maybe even your arms, so you can lift that upper back away from the floor and slide the shoulder blades closer to your spine. See if you could get their flat bones, the shoulder blades. See if you could get the flat bones of the shoulders to be on the ground, which is going to help support the rib cage and not allow the chest to collapse. Bring your awareness to your mouth. Notice if there are any lingering flavors from whatever you've eaten today so far. And move your tongue around in your mouth so you could actually notice, is there moisture in your mouth? When we are stressed, when the stress response is stimulated, whether we know that we're under stress or it's subconscious and it happens in the background, that's where trauma
plays a role, is subconsciously the story is happening in the background. You may not be aware of it, and something is happening that is causing this reaction in the body. So when we are under stress, our mouth gets dry because there's not a need for digestion, and the fluids in the mouth are digestive. They begin to break down food. So notice moving your tongue around. Notice if your mouth is sticky, maybe even taking your tongue and pressing it into the roof of the mouth and then pulling it away to see what the moisture level is in your mouth. Keep your mouth closed, bring your awareness to your eyes, allow your eyes to soften. And then bring your awareness to your ears. Listen for sounds. If you do hear sounds, and if you hear a few sounds, notice which side of your body or in relation to your head, if your head was a clock, where do you hear the sound? At the 3 o'clock, at the 6 o'clock, at the 5, at the 11? Really pay attention to the sounds. Bring your awareness to your eyeballs, nice and heavy in the sockets. Feel a relaxation coming into the eyes. From here, bring your awareness to your body and feel your body, feel the back of your body, feel the parts of the body that are touching something, feel what it's touching. So you could start at the head, feeling the head with a blanket, then feel the next part of you, which would be the upper back, shoulder blade area, back of the ribs. Then maybe you want to go over to each hand and feel each hand on the floor. Notice what's happening to your fingers without moving them. Bring your awareness to your pelvis and maybe even the low back, which is not touching the floor, and notice how the low back feels right now, especially if you're someone that deals with low back issues. Feel the heaviness of your pelvis on the floor, grounding your physical body. Feel the legs against whatever it is you have them against, blankets, pillows, or maybe you just have your legs straight. Bring your awareness to your feet, the right foot and the left foot. Feel the heaviness of your feet. And allow your awareness to go up and down the back of your body, feeling the support of everything that's supporting it. When we are in this position, the fluids can go back into the joints, the spine where there are so many joints, and they're usually under compression from above with gravity. All the fluids go back. It's a spinal bath. And just feel the heaviness of your body so that you are releasing whatever muscles you have control of or awareness of. And then the heavier you allow your body to get, you start to soften the stabilizing muscles in the joints as they release their support in holding you nice and stacked and upright. So it's actually a good thing for us to find ourselves in a supine position throughout the day to give the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons a break from their job of holding us up. And for those of you that deal with energy issues, fatigue, this is also a good thing to think about because the muscles need energy to function and to hold you up. So if you take a break and you stop that muscular need of energy, then you'll have more energy for the other things you want to do in your life. So just feel the heaviness of your body, feel the grounded aspect of your body. See if you could take in the real true heavy feeling that your body is. And especially for those of you with bone density issues or fear of falling, I want you to feel the solid aspect of yourself. Whenever things happen in our lives, whether it's a diagnosis of something physically or physiologically or metabolically, we feel really light. And if you have an osteoporosis diagnosis, you feel very fragile. So I want you to feel how heavy your body is, how solid your body is. Feel the bones moving towards the floor, the heaviness of them with gravity. Bring your hands onto your belly. Let your elbows go a little wide here. Hands are on the belly. The thumbs are near the lower ribs. Open up your palms really big so that the pinky fingers are down near where the legs attach to the body. This is yoga, and this is the advanced aspect of yoga. When you integrate your mind in your body, when you stay in the present moment, and when you move to a place of feeling or looking inward, that's when you're using the part of your brain that you can make intelligent decisions with, not allowing the story or the past in the background in the subconscious brain to control your life. Taking control of the horses of the mind that are galloping all day long. Bring your awareness to your hands, to the palms. Begin to bring the breath deep down into the lower belly. And start to feel the low belly pressing into your palms. See if you could breathe so deeply that you actually even feel your pinky and ring finger experiencing the movement of your belly. And as if you were looking at your belly and feeling, so looking with your feeling eyes and looking with your inner eyes, see if you could tell if both sides of your belly are moving at the same level, pace, and rate. Does it feel even? I'd like you to bring your awareness to your left hand. So your hands are on your belly, your palms are spread. You could have your fingers touch or not. I want you to bring your awareness to your left palm and fingers, and I want you to breathe down there. So you feel your left hand moving when you breathe in, and you feel your left lower belly move. And try to see if you could isolate the left side, keeping the right side quiet. And let your eyes go there as well. If you notice any digestive sounds happening when you're breathing and your awareness is in your body, that's a major plus. That's a sign that you're stimulating the relaxation, stress reduction zone of the body. Bring your awareness over to the right side now, breathing down to the right side of the low belly. Try to feel as much stretch as you can and try to isolate this on the right side only. The diaphragm, which is the primary breathing muscle, has two sides, the right side and the left side. Bring your awareness back to the center. Let's activate both sides of the diaphragm, breathing down to the lower belly, down to the hands. Finishing the breath you're on, take 3 more breaths like this. Giving the breath back to your body at the end of that 3rd breath. Feeling the heaviness of your body, the heaviness of each leg. Let your arms go out to the side. Feel the heaviness of each arm. Feel the heaviness of your pelvis, heaviness of your spine and of your rib cage, heaviness of the shoulder blades, the arm bones, the hands, the head. Bring your awareness to your eyes, feel the heaviness of your eyes. The stimulators of the stress response for the mental emotional layer that translates to all the other layers are the senses. So bringing your awareness to your eyes to look inward, your ears to notice what you notice, your nose, your mouth, and then the somatic awareness of the body, soma meaning body, can be a great way to manage your stress at any time of the day. Stopping and noticing, what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? What am I touching? What am I hearing? And making sure that whatever you're listening to, eating, smelling, seeing, and touching is beneficial for you, for your being. Bring your awareness to your mouth. Notice the moisture level of the mouth. Notice if it's changed. Take the tongue up against the palate. See if there's stickiness. Maybe there was before, maybe now there's not. Maybe you didn't notice that at the beginning. So using all of these indicators of ways to detect what's happening to your physiology and biochemistry. Let's bring your awareness to your fingers and your toes. Start to wiggle them and move them. Bring your body into whatever position it would like right now. If you'd like to take your arms overhead, if that feels good for you, and if your shoulders will let you. Legs are straight. Then go ahead and bend your knees. Bring your knees into your chest. And hold them static at first. So just hold them, allow the hip and knee joint to receive this flexion, this bending that you brought into them. So some of you may have heard of the term biohacking. It's a word that's used commonly now, and it's especially used when they talk about going against aging. If you'd like to add movement to your body now, you can add some movement. I'd like to introduce a word called bioharmonizing that I like to use, because I see it all as harmonizing for health, not cutting and chopping and trying to piecemeal this one, this thing, but rather my entire being. So that awareness of your mouth, or the fact that your diaphragm has two sides, or feeling your body, these are ways for you to have your own markers, your own guide for where your body is at each moment. That is how yoga has helped me in my life. Let's come onto your side. Stay here for a few breaths. I use yoga every day, all day, always checking in with myself to notice where I am in my body, in my mind. And when I am in a place in my mind that's too much, I'll use whatever many different tools that exist in the practice. And then what we're doing here for our physical body, keeping it strong and limber and mobile, this is going to reduce stress, musculoskeletal stress. Take your hand on the floor and try not to lead with your head. Try to use your body wisely here. Push your hand into the floor and bring yourself up. So bioharmonizing, that is the word that I love. And I see it all over the place now with all these devices. People have watches on to see how long did I sleep and how deep was my sleep. And there's a lot of blood sugar monitoring going on these days, because blood sugar regulation is a key to aging, and accelerated aging too. So there's a lot of monitoring going on out there. And I would like to say that we can do some self-monitoring. So hopefully you learn with me the self-monitoring that you could do. All right, so we're going to do a little flow here to warm up our body. Let's take the blanket for the knees, placing your blanket on your mat for your knees, according to whatever you need. For those of you with knee issues, you may need extra. Being on top of that patella bone is not good for a lot of these. So if that's you, set yourself up for success and double the blanket. I'd like you to have a bolster or a pillow or something that you can put your body weight on. We're going to do a little flowing practice now, and I want you to have the block or the pillow here for this. So this is what we're going to be doing, and when you come down to the ground, your body will rest on that pillow for our little flowing sequence that we're going to do. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like. So go ahead and put a bolster or pillows there, or if you don't have any of those, you could roll up a blanket. For some of you, you may not need it. It's a stronger flow if you don't use a bolster. So I just want to teach it this way first, and then you make your decision. So for this flow, we could begin, there's two choices. You could either begin in a child's pose. So a child's pose is this. So child's pose is when you come see my spine is rounded here. So the tushy is touching the heels. Now for those of you that have osteoporosis, you want to make sure you really minimize flexion in the spine. So for those with osteoporosis, this is called puppy dog, keeping the tushy in the air. And this is a nice spinal lengthening without putting that pressure in the front of the spine. So for some of you, you may be here, and some of you may be here, okay? And then take the hands forward. So we'll do a slow one at first, and then we'll start to move. Take your hands long and palms are on the floor. You're going to come up so that when you come up, your joints are stacked here. Your shoulders are over your elbows and over your wrists. You want to make sure you don't go too far forward already. So you want to come to a stacked joint position. When you're in that position, you're going to bend the elbows slowly. And this is important to go slow, and it's hard. And for some of you, you may not have a lot of upper body strength. So we're going to work on that. Then you're going to come all the way down into your body, onto your bolster or blanket or whatever it is you have here. And then you keep your elbows and your hands where they are, and you just lift your torso
away from the prop. And then you push your belly back to bring your body back. Now we're flowing through the shoulder joint, the knee joint, the hip joint, and we're actually flowing through the spine as well. So there's a lot of joints flow here. So the potential to move things, to squish stuff. I want you to go slow and notice what you notice. Okay, let's begin. Inhale and exhale. Let go when you exhale. Let your body be heavy. Inhale to rise. Exhale, bend the elbows, look straight down, lower slowly with your entire exhalation. With your entire inhale, you're going to lift your torso away from the floor or the bolster or whatever you have. Exhale back. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Inhale to open your throat. Exhale back. Go slow here. Feel all of this. This is a great way to really stretch the low back because the psoas, it's attached to the low back. You're locking the legs on the floor with the knees down. And when you come into this extension, the spinal extension, you're lifting your upper part of that connection for the psoas. You're lengthening there. So you're lengthening the top of the psoas, which is really important. Take sitting out of the body. Inhale. Exhale. For those of you that would like a little more strengthening work for your body, try this without any props. One breath, one movement. Go slow. Finishing the one you're on, do one more. And if at any time you needed to stop, hopefully you did. And if one more is too much for you, then stay back in your child or your puppy. Let's meet back in child or puppy. We're going to do an upper back stretch. So bring your hands forward. This is, bring your hands forward close to right in front of you. Now, for some of you, you may need a bolster. So let me show you this first. You decide what you need. So I'm twisting my upper body. I'm going to twist my upper body. This is stretching the upper back. So the relationship is this. If you had flashlights here, these would be your heart lights, where your flashlights, your heart lights, and these are your hip bones. So here's the hip lights. These are hip lights and heart lights. When they're in this position, when they're both facing in the same direction, there's no rotation in your spine. Unless, of course, you have any scoliosis or some deep, dysfunctional pattern in the spine. But in a movement sense, heart lights are forward, hip lights are forward. When we come into this rotation, we're going to actually turn our heart lights in a different direction than our hip lights. So you begin with your arms straight, and then you thread one arm through. My head can go on the floor here. For some of you, you may feel a little bit better off with a pillow or something rolled up or a bolster if you have one. Stretching that upper back area. Heart lights are trying to turn in the direction of the hand that's underneath. So the heart lights are turning in that direction and the hip lights are straight down towards the ground. And really reach that hand away and then push that hand into the floor. That'll give you the ability to add that rotation to your trunk. Take one more breath. Feel whatever you feel stretching. This is upper back stretch. So feel that in your body. Deep breaths.
Take one more breath.
And then bring yourself back. I feel movement in the joints of my spine. I don't know if any of you are feeling that for a few reasons. For some people, they don't have that ability for the joints to move anymore. My chiropractor said around age 50 for some people, the calcifications stop that movement. So, but some of you may feel that. All right, let's come into let's warm up our body in a seated position. So we did that flow, we'll do the back, but I'd like to warm up the back first. So I'd like you to come onto your blanket, and having a blanket folded pretty high will be a little bit better for hip joints. It's also another option for some of you is to sit on top of a bolster or your pillows that you have. And when you come into this position, I'd like to share here that where your knees are when you're in a crisscross leg position is an indicator of your hips and tightness in the hips. So notice if you're up here, that's tightness in the hips and other tissue, right? Because it's not just everything is connected. And so really this is though, it's external rotation in the hip joint, but there's also other parts of us that could be tight that would be a part of that. So I'd like you to notice if this is possible for you and know that this is also a relief position from sitting. Whenever the kneecaps are pointing to the sides, as opposed to pointing forward. When the kneecaps are pointing straight up towards the sky or forward, the hip is in its neutral position. And when the kneecap starts to go out to the sides, there's an external rotation in that hip joint. So that's why it gives you a little indicator of the hip. Bring yourself forward wherever you are and then reach back, grab a hunk of flesh, move the flesh away. So I share this because for those of you that are sitting often, maybe you could sit like this sometimes, and especially now that we're home a lot more doing some of our work. So maybe you could create some kind of virtual space to work from where you could be seated like this and have a computer or something here. And it's interesting, right? Because many cultures around the world, right, we didn't have tables and chairs. I can't remember, I heard recently when the invention of chairs came in. And I can't remember, but anyway, so we used to sit in these positions. We used to use our joints in these ways that we're not using as much anymore. Very important. So helping to take some of that stress out of the joints of the knees and the hips. Let's do a Sufi grind. So when you do a Sufi grind, you inhale forward and then you push yourself over to one side. When you go to the side, you'll hopefully feel something stretching in the opposite side. And then push your belly button back. So when you do go back and you hold on to your legs, it's as if you let go, you would fall back. So I don't want it to be just the upper body went back there. I really want you to tilt backwards in your pelvis so you feel yourself back at your sits bones, or your tailbone, sorry, but on the back edge of your sits bones, then to the other side so you feel that opposite side, and then you come forward. Inhaling forward and exhaling when you go back. And then imagine that your spine is a wooden spoon inside of a cauldron, and the cauldron is your pelvis. So don't let the wooden spoon bend. I want that wooden spoon, which is your spine, to be nice and tall. So be tall here when you do this. Close your eyes, inhaling when you're forward, exhale back. Finish the circle that you're on. Do one more circle like this. Inhale forward. Bringing yourself all the way back to center. Get as tall as you can here. And then we're going to go in the opposite direction. So you're going to inhale forward and then the opposite direction. When you go to the side, use that opposite hand to push down so you really get length in that hip and that side. That glute medius, middle glute muscle gets stretched, which really important for hip joint health, which will translate to knee health and lower back health as well. Inhale. Feel what you feel. Turn on the inner eyeballs. Explore your body with awareness, with the sensations, somatic awareness. And feel what you feel where you feel it. Finishing up this circle, nice tall spine. And then bring yourself back to center, get nice and tall here. Let's take our legs out for a second. So we kinked up the hoses. When you have your knees bent like that, you're kinking the hoses. And so you don't want to allow that flow to happen again. Why don't we take our knees, give our knees a little love here. The lymphatic system is pretty close to the surface. It's not as deeply in our body as our circulatory system is. And so movement and massage actually moves lymphatic fluids through the body. Also, when you do this, when you massage yourself, you press blood back into the system that's in the capillary beds. So I always think of this as very therapeutic whenever I have an issue or a surgery or an injury that I want to heal. I always give myself some kind of massage, thinking that I am bringing the good stuff to this area and then letting whatever needs to be cleaned out go back into the system for cleansing. All right, we're going to come back to fold the legs. And I didn't mention this, but for those who your knees don't like this, you can come into the soles of the feet together in this external rotation, a deeper external rotation in the hip. All right, so I want you to come to where you're going to go crisscross, and I want you to stop. So stop and switch. Take the back foot forward and come into this. It's probably going to feel weird because it's not your natural way of crisscrossing. So there's another pattern that we're just messing with right now. So the brain has to do something different. It's this little brain yoga now. All right, let's take, we're going to do our lateral. We're going to bend ourselves side to side. So if this was a wooden spoon, we are going to bend the wooden spoon and stretch our lateral chain. So take your hand down to the side, inhale up and exhale over. Bring yourself up. Let's do the same thing to the other side. Put your hand to the other side, inhale up and exhale over. Now I'd like you to move through fluidly. So inhale to come all the way up, exhale over. Inhale, go slow here, and try to be as tall as you could be in your spine. And we spent a lot of time in the beginning of today's practice on the back so that we could lubricate our spine. And so now with that lubrication, we're moving the joints safely. So I want you to see this as a cleaning practice. So in the practice of yoga, we call certain practices we do that have movement and breath kriyas, which are cleansing practices, because you're cleansing your energy, you're cleansing congestion in the joints, you're cleansing the fluid flow throughout the body. One more to each side. And then bring yourself back up to center. Let's take the soles of the feet together. Draw the knees closer to your body, the feet closer to your body, and then hold on to your lower legs. Whatever you can do here, and then bending forward. So the forward movement of the body is the entire body as one unit. It's the lower belly trying to come closer to the top thighs. That's forward. It's not the head and the body trying to go down. It's not that. Right? That's what we don't want to do. And it's not even just for those of you with osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, that's a definite no-no. It's just not good for any of us because there's a lot of low back tension that comes in when you start to bend the spine right here, as opposed to bending at the hip joint. So come forward. That's going to deepen that stretch in your inner thighs. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's take your legs really wide here. So come really wide as you can. And then again, if you want to go a little far forward. So just experience what you're experiencing first. For many, this is a challenge. And whenever I teach this to a group in person, it's always amazing because it's a much more challenge than it looks. And it really reveals a lot of tightness in the body. if you'd like to take your hands here and do a little bit of quadricep massage. And I'm also amazed that many people feel this differently. For me, this, I guess I do feel it at some point in the back. And I know that everybody experiences this in different places. If you go deeper, you're going to feel it a little deeper. If you do go deeper, it's with a flat spine. Throat is open, head is nice and long. So be as tall as you could be here. Press your tailbone into the ground. And then take one more breath. Okay, we're going to add rotation. We're going to do the rotational movement with the flexion and extension of the spine. So I like this one because it actually gets a lot of things when we do this. So if you bring one leg in, so now you have one leg straight, one leg in that externally rotated position. And maybe for those of you that have tightness in your hips, if you were sitting in that crisscross leg position and you had your knees up, this may actually be a more gentle way to start working on that external rotation where you're doing one at a time. And I find that with flexibility that if you do it in smaller sections or one side at a time, the body doesn't react by seizing up the way it does when we're trying to stretch, especially if you have a lot of tightness in your body. So in this movement here, we're going to rotate our trunk. So our heart lights are going to rotate to the side and our hip lights are still pointing forward, right? So we're stabilizing or locking that pelvis into position, and then we're taking the trunk and moving it. And that's what rotation should be, is you want to really keep this nice and safe here, this lower pelvic area and low back. For those of you with low back issues, that's part of the issue, is that you're not safely moving in the safe movement places. And so all the tension or a lot of that tension goes to that low back. So we're going to do a little bit of flexion, extension, and rotation here. So with this hand, the leg is straight. You can either grab onto the toe if you have that much flexibility in your hamstrings and they'll let you. Not a lot of bodies will. Or you take the back of the hand, place the back of the hand on the inside of that calf, straighten that arm and lengthen so you really get a nice spinal correction when you do that, okay? So do whatever's appropriate for you in your body. You're going to take the hand of the side with the bent knee and you're going to bring it in front of you. And even here, you probably will feel a stretch in that lower back. And then you're going to look at your thumbnail the whole time. So let's prepare. Take an exhale and then inhale. Look at your thumb and open. Exhale to come back. Inhale to open. You could have your fingers open here as well. And exhale to come back. One more with movement. And then last one. Inhale to open. Stay here. Reach your hand nice and long. Reach out of your pelvis. Press your heart forward. Feel the stretching wherever you feel it. Take deep breaths. One more breath. And then bring yourself out. So I just like to share that for me, there is so much spinal realignment taking place in that position, because having an externally rotated leg and one straight, that takes my pelvis into this locked position. And then when I start to rotate my spine, I feel so much popping, but not popping from gas in joints like happens with knuckles, but rather with movement in my joints. And not painful, feels great actually. So I guess it's what people feel when they get chiropractic adjustments. And that's what sometimes is said about yoga, is that it's a self-adjustment. So it's an inexpensive way to self-adjust your body. All right, let's do the other side. So get yourself set up and notice that not all sides are the same, and that's always interesting as well. So if you have the ability to come through and hold on to your foot, go ahead. Otherwise, you can take your hand on the inside of that lower leg, whatever is appropriate for you and your body. Then looking at the opposite hand, bring the hand there first, see if you notice a stretch in that lower back area. Heart lights and hip lights are in the same direction. Let's prepare here, taking an exhale. And then looking at your thumb, inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Go to your maximum range of motion and stretching that's appropriate for your body. Last one. Stay here. Get as tall as you can in your spine. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself all the way out. Take your legs straight. Shake your legs. So your legs are straight. You're going to take your hands to the side. So let's take the hands to the side. You can let the fingers point away from you. We're going to come up so the wrists are going to take a little bit of pressure here. Ideally, I'd like your hands to be not too far away, and I'd like you to push your chest forward and slide your shoulder blades towards each other in the back of the body. So this is already going to be very supportive of the upper back. We just stretch the upper back, pointing the toes down towards the ground. Inhale. As you exhale, push your feet into the floor, lift your body up. Inhale to lower. Go slow here. Exhale. Inhale. One more. Exhale. And then bring yourself down. Let's take the feet closer to the body, bending the knees. Now I would like the hands to be close to the body. So you could be on the blanket or not for this. And I'm going to show you with me not. Fingers, I'm going to show you what would be ideal is that your fingers are facing towards your feet and your hands are pretty close together. Shoulder blades are sliding towards each other. So if you were standing in front of me, my hands are not wider than my body. And then of course you need to do whatever's appropriate for your body. There is going to be a strong flexion in the wrists here. If you can keep that range of motion in your wrists, I'd like you to, but of course you have to do whatever's appropriate. Inhale. As you exhale, push away from the floor, lift up. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. One more. Exhale to rise. Stay up here if you can. Push your hands into the floor. Push your feet into the floor. Don't let your head hang back. So either have your chin towards your chest. Lift your pelvis as high as you can. Feel that stretch on the shoulder blades. Press your heart up towards the sky. Lengthen your knees away from you. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself down. Take your wrists, shake your wrists. So I'd like you to come up into this position, flipping your toes under, and I know not everyone can do that. So here or here, if you can't do that, or sit in a crisscross leg position, whatever you need to do. So stretching whatever you can, whatever is appropriate for you. And then let's take the wrists, shake your wrists. Take your hands together and move your wrists around in one direction and then in the other. I'd like you to take the arm straight, flex the wrist, take your hand, the back of the wrist, and push the hand towards you. So hold pretty high up your hand, closer to your wrist if you can handle that. Pushing the hand back, feel that strong stretch on the top of your arm. And then flip your hand to the And then let's do the same thing with the other hand. Take the hand, move that hand towards your body, feel that stretch. If you need to come down off of your toes, if they're flipped under, it can be a lot of tension there. And then try to keep your shoulders away from your ears. So no shoulder earrings, nice long neck. And toes. Okay, so we're going to do a little to strengthen the back muscles. We did a lot to stretch so far and to create space and to raise awareness to how so much tension goes here in the back of the body. I like to do a little bit for the back. So you're going to need your prop, whatever that is, folded blankets, bolster, whatever that is. Some of you may even need the higher bolster. Let me show you what we're doing. We're going to do hip flexion, which is really proper bending. We're going to do proper bending. We're going to keep our spine nice and long when we come down all the way. So this looks like this. Spine stays long the whole time. Okay, so let's do that. So get whatever it is you're going to get for your prop. And if you need your knees to be on something, remember, always take care of the knees. My knees have never liked to be on a hard surface, never. So I like to make sure that they're nice and cushy. Okay, take your hands down alongside your body, palms are rotated out, so there's a little external rotation, which will place the shoulder blades on the back. You're going to inhale, let your arms come up. And then as you exhale, turn your palms down, keep your throat open. The bend happens at the hip joint. So bring the belly closer to the top thighs to bring yourself down. Inhale, open your throat, head moves forward. That's a hard one to come from that transition for many. And then exhale to lower. When you begin to rise, contract your tushy. That'll be very helpful. Contract your tushy. Go slow, lengthening the glute muscles to do this. So this is good for glutes, good for low back health. One more. Go slow, definitely harder when you move like this. Nice stretch in the belly, nice glute work, which is important, and low back. Take that bolster off to the side. So we're going to do a little bit here, a little flow from plank and down dog. Let me show you so that some of you will be like, no way. So we kind of began our practice like this. When we were doing our flow like this, this is a half series that we did, okay? We're going to do something a little similar. Take your hands really wide, flip your toes under. Here's what I'd like to say. This is very present moment. This keeps you in the moment, especially when it's challenging. So when we do some of the stronger physical stuff in the practice of yoga, it grounds the mental energy. So if you find yourself in a really stressed moment, do this. This will be a really great way to ground your mental energy. Inhale. As you exhale, keep your knees bent, push your tushy in the air and push your body back, and then inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Feel your shoulders moving, shoulder blade, shoulder girdle. Last one. Stay here, bend your knees, and start to press one heel at a time towards the floor.
And then bring yourself down. A little more for the hips. Take your legs wide and move your hips around here. So taking stress and tension out of your joints and or realizing that we need that strength in our joints to minimize stress in our body later on when it comes to joint degeneration and pain and inflammation in our joints and arthritis and all of that. So preventative, proactive, and present moment stress relief for the joints and for the body. That's my goal. Hopefully it's yours too. All right. We're going to come down onto the ground. So get your blanket that you use at the top of your mat. Come all the way down onto your blanket, onto the ground, where we began. Let's take the strap. Bring one of the feet up. It doesn't matter which one. Just bring a foot up. Let's do a little bit with the ankle joint. We did so much with the wrists, and I'd like you to get your ankle joint to be released here. We didn't stand up much. We did a little flow with the down dog and the plank, but I'd like you to go side to side. So the kneecap stays stationary. Do not move your kneecap. We've done a lot today with moving the kneecap and doing a lot of hip opening and stretching and stabilizing. I'd like this to be the ankle joint. So get the ankle to go side to side. And then bring your strap up to the top of the foot, right underneath the toes, a little calf stretch here. So very slight bend in your knee. Your knee is pointing straight towards your face or your head, and then straighten that leg. Let's inhale to bend, exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. And then stay there. Go ahead and bend that knee. Bring the other foot up. And a little side to side. So side to side. So the kneecap stays stationary. We're articulating the ankle joint. And then you're going to come to the top of your foot. We're going to stretch the calf now. So in between that heel and that back of the knee is the calf. Very important muscle here. So bend the knee, inhale, and then exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. One more. Receive the sensation. So don't fight it. Receive it. Let it go down to your glutes. Let it go up to your foot. Let it disperse around your body so it's not with resistance. It's with acceptance that you take that deep stretch of the calf. And then go ahead and release. The last thing we're going to do today is I want to realign the spine. We did a lot of opening and releasing tension in the pelvic area, in the hips, in the spine, and a lot of joint fluidity and movement. I'd like to end today with stabilizing the pelvis and the low back. And Dr. Fishman, who I'm trained in my osteoporosis work with, said that he's a physiatrist, so doctor of physical medicine. He said he uses this I think he said it's the main thing he uses for disc herniations. So let's really align that lower lumbar spine here with the bridge pose. You're going to take the block between your legs or a rolled up blanket and walk the feet closer to your body. Slide away the blanket that's behind your head. So slide that away, lengthen your head so that the middle of your head and actually closer to your neck. So for many of you, it would be away from the neck. I want you to be in the center of your head, closer to your neck. So tuck your chin down towards your chest, place your head onto the ground, arms are alongside your body, walk your feet closer, bend your elbows, and then slide the shoulder blades towards the center of the spine. So you push your arms in, you lift the upper back off, you slide the shoulder blades. Now when you come up, you're not going to look side to side. You want to keep your spine in this nice alignment position. Squeeze the block, let the low back touch the floor. That's important. Low back touches the floor. Now squeeze your tushy like crazy. Squeeze the block like crazy. Lift your body away from the floor. So this is not so much about how high can you go. I don't care about that part. Squeeze the tushy, squeeze the block. Take 5 deep, slow breaths here. Your last breath, finish that. Keep the block there, squeezing the block. Start to place the spine onto the floor. And then when you come to the lower rib part, lift your heels off the floor. Squeeze the block, lift your heels off. And try to tilt your pelvis so you place your low back 1 vertebra at a time. This is going to stretch the low back, putting it in an extension position. Bring yourself all the way down to the floor. Take the block out to the side. Bring the blanket back behind your head and draw your knees into your chest. Nice way to end the physical practice, almost. We're going to do the Shavasana pose, which is the way to relax the entire physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self. So bringing the knees into your body, rocking side to side. We're going to prepare for Shavasana, so go ahead and gather whatever props you'd like to put yourself into the nicest position possible to end your practice. And then go ahead and let go, let your body be nice and long and relaxed. Support your head, let everything go. Feel the heaviness of your body, letting go of everything, turning back to your senses and all that you notice. And stay with your breath and let everything relax. If you'd like to repeat any words in your mind, you could repeat the word peace or relaxation. Gently begin to deepen your breath. And start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Noticing how your body feels, noticing the heaviness of the body, and noticing the relaxation of the body. Start to bend one knee at a time, drawing the knees in, rocking your body side to side. And bring yourself onto a side, pushing yourself up away from the floor. Bringing yourself back to a seated position. Close your eyes and go inside to notice what's happening in your body, how your body's feeling. Bring your hands together, rubbing the hands together. Take the thumbs up to the sternum bone. Lengthen your spine. Feel yourself nice and tall. We'll close with sound. We'll do the sound like the letter M. Try to extend your exhalation. So listen to that sound as long as you can, or make that sound as long as you can. Let's prepare. Take an exhale. Then inhale. Bowing in Namaste. Thank you. So for today's practice, that word bioharmonizing, I'd like you to think about that word and all of the aspects of you that you could harmonize throughout the day.
And the main stimulators to the stress response to the nervous system are our senses, what we see, smell, touch, taste, hear, feel, and then that subconscious brain that I want to say we don't have control over, but to raise awareness to the fact that that's happening and to bring your awareness to present moment is a way to stop that from happening. So we do have control over it. So bioharmonizing is how we're going to age gracefully and happily and keep everything in good working order and out of pain and functional, proactive, preventative, present moment. That's our goal, bioharmonizing. All right, thank you. Sorry about the lateness of today. I did go over a little bit for that reason, for those of you that are here, to give you a little extra. Yes, I did go over. So I tried to make it up, and I hope that was okay. I wasn't going to tell you. I was just going to have you just be in your whatever and enjoy. Okay, perfect. Oh, my husband made it. And tell that he did it though, or maybe he's talking about me. I don't know. He was trying to help me. He was out on a walk and I was like, help me. Great, Stevie. I'm glad. Good. Yeah, Cindy, I was thinking about you today because I know that the last time I did something with hips and hip awareness, that was a raised awareness piece for you. So I thought about you a lot today when I was teaching that, thinking, okay, Cindy will like this and Cindy will like this. Carolyn, you're welcome. Michael, good. Yep, thinking about you today, Michael, when I was talking about spinal extension. And so, you guys come to class with me. So when I know you're here, I know the issues in your tissues. I'm like, okay, so this one's got this and this one's got that. So that's great. Nancy, you're welcome. Great, Lynn. Yeah, good flow. I like that. And when I did my training with Dr. Fishman and Ellen Saltonstall, they said that actually flowing in aging joints is not a good thing. So some of these flowing practices of yoga, and part of it is because we may have arthritis in there. So there may be some jagginess, maybe a little bit less cushion on the joint capsules. And also from my perspective, dysfunctional patterns. And when we have dysfunctional patterns that we haven't yet uncovered and know how to work with, then we're actually just solidifying that same dysfunction over and over in that same wear and tear pattern. So that's part of it. And that's why we did this. The flow we did today was really slow. So hopefully that was great. Angie and Dan, if you're out there, hello. Lee, if you're out there, hello. Steve, I never get to mention you if you're out there because you always email me afterwards, say I was there. So Steve, Lee, I think I said Lee, right? Who else? Ginger,